up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Seoul Therapy, the podcast. My name is Daniel.
Daytona.
Today, we will be playing a game called Overrated or Underrated about different K-hip hop and K-R&B artists. As usual, if you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to our podcast on all streaming platforms and don't forget to give us that 5-star rating. Also, for more contents, please go and follow our socials at soul_therapy, and also please support our page on Patreon at patreon.com/join/soul_therapy. This episode's a lot different. This is not our typical podcast episode where we have like a really in-depth conversation, but rather we kind of wanted to, be more creative. And so we created a game called Overrated or Underrated with different K-R&B and K-hip hop artists. And what we did was we gathered a lot of artists from our audiences and we created a wheel. And what I'll be doing is that all the artists that are listed on the wheel, I will spin the wheel, and whichever name lands on the arrow, we will give our responses on overrated or underrated, and then we'll follow up with our small little analysis on why we think that artist is overrated and underrated. So our first artist is Ash Island. Okay, right. Here we go. Oh, Ash Island. He's a
Be careful, Daniel.
Oh.
He has a huge fan base. He really does. So be careful what you say here.
Before I give my answer, I just want to let everybody know that
they know where you live.
This is all subjective, and I don't mean this in a really bad way. It's just our subjective opinion, and by no means we're not saying that these are like really trash artists. We're just kind of stating just how we feel. And
I'll make it simple for our listeners. Look, all opinions are subjective. Unless we say some stupid bigoted shit, please leave us alone and don't be butthurt.
Yeah, just come on. Yeah, just please try to understand us, and we just want to create a fun content and just make it a bit more challenging for us. So, okay, here we go. This was difficult, but unfortunately, I'm gonna have to say he is overrated, but not extremely overrated. And I hate
you're such a wussy, Daniel.
I hate to do this.
You had to add that disclaimer.
Look,
I'm enjoying this so much.
I like Ash Island, but I just think we've heard this style of rapping before. It's not something new. We have it here in North America, but it's something that's just we've heard it a lot of times. And I'm not saying he's like not talented. I think he's one of the more talented young artists, in Korean hip hop. I think that rock infused hip hop sound and that kind of like that energetic sound that Ash Island brings, it's very necessary. We need that. But I just think if he can be a little bit more creative, kind of go a bit more outside the box with his songs, because all of the songs that I've heard from him, it just sounds similar. It all kind of just sounds the same. And so I do like Ash Island. I just wish that he would be a bit more original and just kind of take his time with building his craft a bit more so that's stronger, because I know he has the talent. So those are the only main reasons why I really consider him overrated.
Okay. Well, I could say underrated here and throw you under the bus, but
okay.
I'm gonna have to go with overrated as well.
Okay.
It's basically not that different from what you just said. I think he's definitely talented. Especially when a lot of these teenage rappers, especially from like high school rapper and everything, a lot of them, at least like 70%, 60%, I guess, kind of fail to have a career. But Ash Island kind of managed to arguably have the biggest following among all of them. Like even like guys like Young B or Unofficial Boy, they don't have enough fans because they do have a substantial fan base, don't get me wrong, but they don't have a big enough fan base to like propel them to the top of the charts. Ash Island kills on the charts. Like
Yeah.
literally, people go crazy over him.
Exactly.
And he does have a certain shtick to him, and I think like he really has that emo rap kind of formula, like rap down to a formula, and that is something to be commendable about, because especially considering his age.
No doubt, yeah.
How old is he this year?
He's at least like, I think 21.
Yeah, at the age of 21, having a genre down to a science is something that should be commended. It means he really worked hard for that position.
No doubt.
Granted, the reason I say he is overrated because I don't know where it's going to go from here. Like,
I hear you.
This seems like kind of an end of an era in Ash Island's chapter, because he has had this emo rap stuff down for like 2 to 3 years now.
For sure.
And his recent album was in the same vein as well.
Mm-hmm.
And with the whole emo rap trend kind of, losing traction itself, not just in Korea, but globally, with all superstars having to pass away in that movement. I can't imagine what he'll do next. So maybe like if his next album is a flop because he switches styles, then I'll say he's really overrated. If he manages to switch styles and still satisfy me and obviously satisfy the masses, then I will say that he's underrated.
For sure.
As of now, I will have to go with a bit of an overrated thing. He doesn't have enough diversity in his catalog, in my opinion.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. Our second artist is Loco. We have Loco now. Okay.
Okay.
You want to go first?
All right, I'll go first. Why do I have a feeling that this episode will make me look like a hater, man?
Don't worry, man. It's all subjective.
Loco is overrated. Not because he's bad. Again. Oh man, I'm adding disclaimers. What have I become?
No worries, bro.
I would have said he's underrated if he had a lot of albums. He has like one studio album or two, right?
Yeah. He doesn't have
he needs more albums. That's it. That's the only reason I'm saying he's overrated. I mean, this is a case for many Korean hip hop artists as well. Loco is great at making records, and he has a tendency to like have very unconventional flow styles and rhyme patterns, which I really commend. It's not predictable. Like the way he rhymes is definitely not predictable, and that is definitely a plus. But he doesn't have enough work in his catalog. He needs more albums. And although I think his first studio album, right? Which is called Bleached, if my memory is correct. Yep. That was not a bad album at all. That was a good album. I wouldn't say it's a solid album. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's like mind blowing or like crazy, but it was a solid album and a great debut. And I was really looking forward to where he was going to go after this, but he never kind of did anything. Like he did some features, he dropped some singles, if I'm correct, but that's not enough. Like considering you were a producer on Show Me the Money 4 and you were in that high of a pedestal in the scene, there has to be more work. At the end of the day, I don't give a fuck about your popularity. I don't give a fuck about how many you sell. I don't give a fuck about how many features you do. I care about what you do on your studio albums. And I'll not go ahead and say that one of the hottest rappers in the game is supposed to have only one album. That's bullshit. So, no. He's definitely overrated.
Okay. For me, I'm going to have to go the opposite, and I think he's quite underrated. And the reason I say he's underrated is because I think, I agree with, him not having as many studio albums as he should have, because he is a veteran in the game for quite some time. But I just think his distinct voice, his uniqueness, his tone, and his delivery in a song, I just think it's refreshing, but it's also sonically different, compared to other hip hop artists. That's why I think Loco has like this really, it's not even high tone, but it has like this very good screechy sound. It's
screechy?
Yeah. It's
oh, I never thought of it that way.
It's kind of complex to really, really dive into, but it has
very high tone. I'll give you that.
It's very high tone. Yeah.
Yeah.
we don't see this often or hear this often, especially in the rap game. So, for those reasons, I truly think he's one of the more underrated artists. Yeah, I agree with the album too. I think he is his appearances on Show Me the Money, but also just his small albums or whatnot, or his singles. I think there's a lot of I mean, Loco's a huge star. He's loved by so many people, but I just think in terms of his skills and the way he is as an artist, I just truly think he's one of the more underrated artists. Let's see our third artist. Oh boy, our third artist is Yoon Mirae, Tasha T.
Oh no.
Oh great.
All right. I didn't say anything yet, so your turn, Daniel.
Oh man.
This is the kind of artist that no matter what you pick, there's always going to be people like, no, that's not the case. No, it is. Like,
I'm gonna have to stick to what I had. I'm gonna go underrated. Because I think by far she's the best Korean female hip hop artist. I mean, I don't think any other female artists come close to her. And I think her albums, it's a lot different compared to her old albums to her new albums, but I truly think she has like a one of a kind voice. Just like Loco, I truly think she's just a legend. It's just hard to. I mean, she's not like oh man, I know she's not a perfect artist, but just her style and her slick tone and the way she raps and the way she flows, it's just one of a kind, and it's something that there's a lot of elevation, with her skills. There's a lot of elevation that she brings to the Korean hip hop scene.
Yeah.
And so, in that regards, and I love her art. Dude, she can also sing too. I mean,
exactly.
Like her musical skills is just beyond, and her albums have a blend of both R&B and a blend of hip hop, and so I just love that about her, and I think to me she's like the Korean Lauryn Hill.
That's actually not a bad comparison, actually.
So for those reasons, I say underrated.
Yeah. Getting the baton. The reason I just kind of laughed is because if you say overrated, there's going to be people who's going to get triggered, especially if it's a Korean who can understand English and they're listening to my podcast. And if I say underrated, it's gonna piss another whole lot of people off. But I'll have to go with underrated. Yoon Mirae's biggest flaw is that she cannot write her own Korean lyrics. She gets a ghostwriter for that. I don't know if that's still the case, but considering how her Korean lyrical style switched a lot of times, and everyone in the scene kind of knows this anyway, so I think she still uses ghostwriter to rap in Korean, which is not a good look, definitely. Anyone who's a ghostwriter, it's like saying like Drake is the best rapper alive. No, he isn't. That's simply not the case. Is Kanye the best rapper alive? No, he gets ghostwriters. Is Dr. Dre the greatest rapper of all time? No, he has ghostwriters. If you have a ghostwriter, my standard is that you cannot be the greatest of all time, period. But no one can take away what Yoon Mirae did for the Korean scene. Especially like even with this whole female like women kind of being underrepresented in hip hop, which she had a good hand in trying to like hold other women down, like really back up their trying to like make the scene more acceptable to them. But she's more than that. She's much more than that.
For sure.
She blatantly was one of the people that made hip hop more mainstream in Korea. Like, if you have your dynamic duos, if you have your Drunken Tigers, you cannot just go ahead and not mention Yoon Mirae.
For sure,
like, of course. Tasha T was instrumental in making hip-hop a bigger thing in Korea. And no doubt, anyone in the scene is indebted to her for that. So, this constant fact about ghostwriters keep coming up. And yes, that makes her overrated as an MC, but as an overall artist, I think she is underrated because being an MC and being an artist is especially by today's standards, is kind of a different thing. You know, so
For sure.
I'll say he's underrated. She has some hate going on her way, but she doesn't deserve that. I mean, she never claimed to be the best rapper alive or anything anyway. So just acknowledge that she did what she did, and we are all indebted to her. So yeah, underrated. I'll go with underrated.
Alrighty, let's see our fourth artist. Coogie.
Yeah, I'll have to go overrated. He's one of the rappers that have never wowed me yet. Like, first of all, when he broke upon the scene, there was a lot of talk about how he sounds exactly like Lil Pump.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and I was a person that kind of agreed with that. Like, he really did sound like a lot like Lil Pump. And out of all people you want to make a copycat out of, you really don't want to be a copycat of Lil Pump. And it was like, why are you following Lil Pump above every people? Why can't you pick someone like fucking like Run the Jewels or like JPEG Mafia or something, or maybe even like a Joey Badass or Tyler the Creator, or something like that? Why do you have to be a copycat of one of the lamest rappers alive? And granted, he proved me wrong because he really tried to diversify his style after that. He tried different things. He tried more auto-tune, and not in an annoying way, but in a very kind of well thought out. And he really tried to improve on his melodies. But he just never impressed me lyrically. And while when I listen to his album, it's like, this is good, this is good, this is good, this is good. This was a pretty good album. And then I remember no songs from it. You know, that kind of artist you always have? Like, Coogie's that artist for me. So when he pops on a feature or anything, it's not like, oh man, I gotta turn this off. It's more like, that feature was actually nice. And usually he features on songs of other artists that actually kind of managed to leave an impression on me. So to me, Coogie is like a dope feature artist. But when it comes to his actual music, I don't quite remember much of it. So I'll have to go overrated.
For sure.
A lot of people like him though.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you on that. I think he's overrated, but like you said, I think from the start, I think he was just stagnated. You know, just kind of like just stuck in the same spot. And I think as the years went on, I think he definitely improved upon his skills. I think he changed a lot of his style. But I truly think he's one of the artists where he's just good. You know, he's solid. He's nothing too special. Like you said, there's no specific tracks that made you go like, oh snap, like these bars or these punchlines are insane. You know, it was just a Coogie song. Okay, move on to the next artist. You know what I mean? It's just there's really, I would say from all of his songs, there isn't like a song where it's like, oh, dude, this song is it sticks with me. You know, it's just kind of like you listen to it and you kind of just forego it, and that's about it. And so, yeah, I mean, he's good. I just think he's nothing like spectacular or anything like that. And
I think he really needs to like know the power of lyrics.
Yeah.
Like, not in the sense like everything has to be like super deep or anything.
Yeah.
But there are like punchy lines even a lot of trap rappers can leave behind. And I never heard that line from Coogie yet. So he needs to know the power of lyrics. He really needs to. Yeah.
I think from that perspective, I just think, that's why he's just overrated for me. So, yeah. All right, let's see our fifth artist. And our fifth artist is Crush.
All right.
All right, for me, in the beginning, I didn't really get into his music. I just thought there wasn't really anything like Coogie. There wasn't anything special to his music and from the start. But as I kept listening to his stuff, I think he's become more of that prolific K-R&B artist that we need in Korea, because there's not a huge, R&B scene, in terms of like his style and the way he shows his color. So I think he's an underrated artist. Yeah, he's to me, he's like a Korean Maxwell. He's
Maxwell. That's a classic.
I know that's a huge comparison, but I can definitely hear I can hear like kind of like that slick kind of like that,
Mm.
that aura from Crush, and it has like this very distinct sound that he
Mm.
delivers. And you think it's auto-tune, but it's not, like he has like
Mm.
this voice where you think but it's like pure
Yeah.
Crush. And so his last album, his full-length album, it was like I felt a lot of emotions from it,
Mm.
and it's definitely different from his earlier works. It's not like all
Yeah.
like party or
Mm.
very clubby type R&B, but rather
Mm.
there's a lot more like ballad R&B. There's a
Yeah,
lot
it
of blend
is.
of both, and so from that album alone, for me, I think he's solidified as like an
Mm.
underrated artist. But I think he's more of an underrated artist. I
Mm.
truly think so. So yeah, he's an underrated artist for sure.
Um, this is tough for me because usually when we talk about overrated, underrated, mm, if you're for like commercially successful, it is way easier to be overrated.
Mm,
If you're financially unsuccessful, it's way easier to be underrated.
mm-hmm,
Because overrated, underrated by definition is a comparative term.
mm-hmm,
So if you're raking in the dollars, it's very hard for you to be underrated.
for
Chances are
sure.
you're probably like properly rated or overrated.
Mm,
And that makes me think because there are three like I don't know if this is a parallel with the States scene, but when we think about like alternative R&B, you
mm-hmm,
usually think The Weeknd, Frank
mm-hmm.
Ocean, and
Yeah,
Miguel.
for sure.
Yeah, it was those three. Now Miguel kind of faded away in a sense, not that
Mm-hmm,
much, but I think there was a similar parallel in the Korean scene here. It was either Dean,
mm-hmm,
Zion T, or Crush.
mm-hmm.
And I honestly thought Dean would be the one to like pop up the most,
Mm,
but he never put out enough albums.
no.
Yeah, what the fuck are you doing, Dean? And Zion T blew up,
Yeah,
but he didn't put out as many albums I wanted to as well. I wanted him to
for
as
sure.
well.
Yeah,
Crush really hustled the fuck out of his regimen.
yeah, he did.
He took in work whenever he had to. Like he constantly dropped studio albums, he constantly dropped EPs, and he always worked on drama OSTs whenever the work came in,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
which really raised his profile. And maybe Zion T, but I know he definitely earns more than Dean, and he probably earns the most money out of like he's probably in like the top 5 when it comes to like people who are from the K-hip hop scene to earn the most money. He's on
Mm,
TV shows and everything, which makes me no choice but to say that he's overrated.
mm, okay.
How can he be underrated?
I mean, that's true. Yeah.
You can't be underrated. Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
How can you be underrated when you're the fucking Weeknd?
Mm,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
The only people that underrated the Weeknd was the Grammys, and no one cares
Mm-hmm.
about the Grammys anymore. You know, underrate the man, you get destroyed. So, in a sense, I have no choice but to say that Grudge is overrated. Not because he's black. In fact, he's one of the few artists that actually managed to kind of stay true to his roots, even though he made it to a financial success. Because I never heard a corny song from Crush.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the times when indie artists go really big on Crush's level, they begin to make these bullshit songs that are so fucking sugary for my ears. But that didn't happen with Crush.
True.
So it breaks my heart, but I can't say he is underrated. No, that's
Okay.
simply not the case.
For
so
sure.
by default, I'll have to say overrated.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see our 6th artist. Nafla. Ooh.
Yeah, he made me switch stances a lot. He has a very dope period and a suck ass period. But he recently returned with the Natural Flavor album.
Exactly.
Which reminded me why he was so great in the first place. So I'll have to say underrated. He was overrated. He was properly rated at first. I think he was one of like hailed as the great saviors of K-hip hop that came all the way from Los Angeles. And in a sense, it seemed true. Like before Show Me the Money, he dropped these crazy ass singles and EPs that was like everyone had me like, how is he doing this kind of thing?
Yeah.
No one rapped like him. No one. And shit kind of hit the fan when the Show Me the Money happened. Like he was making all these pop singles and everything, which is not a bad thing in itself. Like Change is not bad at all.
Yeah.
But no one liked them. Like unless you were a fan of nafla and not a fan of hip hop, you kind of still stuck by nafla. But the problem is a lot of hip hop fans like, what the fuck is he doing kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, because there's so many people who do that kind of music better than nafla. So instead of being the irreplaceable like super rookie, like his career after that seemed more like, what is this like run of the mill pop shit going to do? But and people were like, nah, when natural, like this recent album's title is Natural Flavor. And when it was being marketed, it had kind of a fluffy cover to it. So he was like, people were like, oh, he's coming with this pop shit again. Why are you doing this? And then when it actually came out, it didn't turn out to be a pop kind of album. So it's like, huh. People really liked that album. They really did. We planned to review it sometime. We just didn't end up doing it, right? Yeah. It was a good album. And it really showcased why he was like such a hot rookie in the first place. But because his career suffered due to the period of pop stuff he put out, he was really getting underrated in the scene. Like it was like nafla's done. Everyone was like nafla's done, nafla's done. And it is always easier to be destroyed rather than to rebuild. So I think he's in the process of rebuilding his career. So at this point, I'll say he's underrated.
For sure. Yeah, I'm going to have to agree. I think he's definitely underrated. I think he's he kind of brought back that Korean American style because we've been longing for one of those good Korean American artists since like Swings, you know?
Yeah.
Because Juno and like G2 and like, you know, Kilograms, those guys were, you know, decent, but they weren't like, they solidified themselves into the Korean hip hop scene. And so I kind of was longing for that. And I think nafla is that artist. And I truly think with this album, Natural Flavor, it's insane. I was like, damn. Like he's like nafla is back to his old roots, you know?
Yeah.
Like his Cali roots. And I just thought, okay, he's definitely back. You know, he had his moments where, you know, it was kind of low, like you mentioned, but I truly think at the end of the day, moving forward, I think with the new label that he's in, Ravi's label, Grooveland, I think he's going to do bigger things. I think we're going to expect a lot more creative, more diverse music from nafla, but still maintaining his identity, you know, as like this really, you know,
he's a
rugged, raw hip hop artist that we all know. And so I think he's definitely an artist to continue to keep an eye out on. So he's definitely underrated. All right. And our seventh artist is J Park, Mr. CEO.
Mr. J Park.
Okay.
Mr. X Rock Nation. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna categorize this into two parts quickly. I think in terms of R&B, he's definitely underrated. In terms of his rapping skills, I think he is a tad bit overrated. And I know that's gonna trigger a lot of I can already sense it. I can already feel it. But
so you're saying he's not hip hop?
I shouldn't have said this. I should not have said this. Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm gonna stick by what I said. It's okay if I
hip hop. That's not real hip hop. That's so sugary. Oh my god.
I can already feel the heat that's gonna be on me, but like I said, this is just how I feel, and I think he's a blend of he's a hybrid artist, and that's not bad, dude. I think there's a lot more depth to him as an R&B artist. And I can also see a lot of good things as him as a hip hop artist because he when he dropped that Travels Alone album,
the Load Rest Travel, I think.
Yeah, which was all in English with all different international artists that participate on the album. I think that helped me to get a bit more glimpse to him as a hip hop artist. That Road Less Travel Alone, and then, but to me, he's he's more of like this really strong R&B artist. And so it's really hard for me to decipher him as one like R&B or overrated or underrated. So I had to categorize into like two parts. So as a hip hop artist, I would say he's a tad bit overrated. But in the R&B scene, he's for sure underrated.
Yeah. He's kind of our Drake.
Exactly. Yep.
Not easy, but more on the Chris Brown side. It's like somewhere between Drake and Chris Brown. He raps infinitely better than Chris Brown, but not well enough as Drake. But he sings better than Drake, but is not as talented as Chris Brown, in my opinion. So it's right in the middle of that. And I'll still go with underrated because the album that changed my perception of Jay Park was the album called Worldwide.
Oh, okay.
That album was a huge turning point, not just in the terms of Jay Park's career, but that album changed a lot of shit. When it comes to like trap music and mainstream like a trap rap, that album really kind of showed the format for a lot of hip hop artists here. Like no one made trendier music than him during that era. Like that album was the epitome of what trend is supposed to be. And that album still like has so many great songs on it. Like sometimes he even managed to go like crazy experimental on it, and it kind of works. I do kind of get what you're saying though, because the charts are always better when he's just straight up singing. But in defense, I don't think that's kind of Jay Park's fault, but more of how the Korean market works, because
no
still like hip hop is not as mainstream as it is in the States.
No doubt, for sure.
So naturally, if you're singing on a record, you'll do way better than if you're rapping on a record. That's what I respect about Jay Park. Like, he could have kept just singing.
Yeah, no doubt.
Really, but even because he was a star before this, like, and
for sure,
as an R&B singer, and he really decided to like, nah, I want to get the respect of hip hop fans, and that couldn't have been an economically like and financially a decision that makes sense, because if you listen to that Worldwide album, you can hear how much money he had to throw into that album. It sounds super expensive. There's so many features on it. Like he threw a lot of dollars at it.
Yeah.
All for respect. He kind of understands that kind of like commercial thing is not everything. As much commercial as he is, I think he has that kind of mentality. And that kind of mentality was instrumental in how big this culture is gonna get. Like, granted, this culture is not as big as other Korean mainstream genres, but we came a far long way from what we used to be. Seriously. And Jay Park has had a huge role in doing that. So yeah, he's still underrated. His rap records need to chart higher. So yeah, he's definitely underrated.
For sure. Let's see our 8th artist. Oh, DPR Live. Okay. Here we go. Again, please don't hate me for this, people.
You're actually coming off of as worse a hater than I am.
I'm gonna also have to say, oh damn, I really hate to do this. He is again tad bit overrated. I will give you this though. He's extremely creative. The dude is intelligent in terms of music making. Like he makes some of the most original, some of the most surprising songs that we've ever heard. And to me, it's his style is not my cup of tea. And that's pretty much about it. It's just his style just doesn't really, it's not my liking. And it's like a hit or a miss. And that's pretty much it.
Okay.
I know that was a dumb reason, but that's about it.
And that's not a dumb reason. I mean, music is at the end of the day is taste. Even the shittiest record on earth, someone's gonna like it. I'll go with underrated. purely because I think he has the best commercial format out of anyone in the hip hop scene. Maybe with the exception of Jay Park. But somehow he's not making it as big as them. And I think it is because he's kind of the more independent guy. Because if you think about DPR Live, he's kind of the outsider in Korean hip hop. Not in a bad way. Like, he's kind of not lumped up anywhere. No one is exactly affiliated with him except the DPR crew.
Exactly.
They're their own entity. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So, in a sense, I think the only reason he's not making it as big is maybe he doesn't have that much connections within the Korean scene. But if you think about it, he has more international fans. I think DPR Live is actually has one of the biggest international fan bases than any other artist in Korean hip hop, except with maybe the exception of the whole AOMG crew. So without having a major label deal, does he? I'm not sure.
No, I'm not too sure either on that.
But at least, like, if you think about AOMG, like, Jay Park already had his fan base from K-hip hop crossing over.
Yeah.
But DPR Live just started as a total underground rapper.
Exactly,
So in that sense, he needs to be charting higher. Seriously, he needs to be charting higher. And he did chart higher in the past, but somehow I think he lost a little bit traction recently. I don't get why, because the dude is just getting better and better.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if it was like 5 years ago, maybe I would have said he was overrated. But no, I think he is what pop rap should try to be. That's quality pop rap here. He's creative. He tries new things. So no, he's underrated. Like, he needs to get more recognition. And as much as that might seem weird to international fans, because international fans seem to like already, support him a lot, he needs more support here in Korea.
Yeah.
Like, he needs more than the hipsters. His music has a tendency, like, I think, has enough mass appeal if it receives the right push. So yeah, I think that's the case. Yeah, he's underrated.
For sure. Our 9th artist is BewhY.
I would have said he was overrated.
Ooh,
when it was like 2014. His first album was not that great. His EP was hot. I mean, his EP was really hot. And he had some singles after that were really great as well. But after that, his first album was meh. People were like, this is way too cinematic. It feels a bit artificial. I mean, not the cinematic part is the movement, but that wasn't the problem. It was like, what is this neoclassical hip hop shit? And then he kind of toned it down a little bit on the Movie Star, which is the recent album, I think. And he did it better there. Like, he kind of and then after the whole Deja Vu crew and with Vion coming in and everything, I think he really came into a sweet spot. And making that whole label big was BewhY having some sort of business sense as well. Man, he's one of the most respected technicians as an MC, period. The dude can fucking rap. Like,
exactly.
It won't be really hard to find someone who can out rap BewhY. Granted, his content is not really for me. Yeah, I'm not Christian.
I hear you.
Yeah. And I always have kind of a unhealthy stigma when it comes to Christian genres. Because most of the time in my music experience, a lot of the times when you stick Christian in front of a genre, it becomes lame. Christian metal, meh. Christian hip hop, nah. It always, not that it's hating on the genre, but I always
I hear you.
It becomes too sanitized for me.
I hear you.
Yeah, and he was actually one of the few people that broke that kind of prejudice, I guess, because I really genuinely enjoy his music, despite the content. I think it's like he's not overly preachy. And he deals with religion more in a philosophical way rather than like bashing into like, you need to believe in God, you need to believe in God. No, not that. He actually kind of tries to use it for himself, like in like reflection and stuff like that. He kind of really approaches it as a philosophy, and I think that kind of made me a little less hostile towards it.
For sure.
Yeah, he's a great artist. He needs to be bigger on the charts. Period. Underrated.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to definitely agree with you on that. The underrated part. I think he's improved greatly.
Mm.
I think we all saw that with Show Me the Money season 5,
Yeah.
and him setting up, Deja Vu, coming out with the Movie Star album.
Mm.
Yeah, I agree with the cinematic. It was a bit too,
Dramatic.
yeah. It
Mm.
just it felt like just a movie,
Mm.
like an actual movie. Not really just like a
Mm.
musical standard, but I think what really also helped him was the Neo Christian album with
Mm.
Son Simba.
Yeah. That
I think
raised his
that
profile a lot.
exactly. I think
Mm.
that really helped him solidify as like this. All right, he has an identity. He
Yeah.
established an identity and a culture within himself, but also his label as well. And so I think he's progressively becoming a different artist than
Yeah.
he once was. And
True.
so I think I like that evolution about BewhY. He's always changing. He's always striving to take some
Mm.
risks, but also not taking too much risks so that
Alright.
it hurts
Mm.
his identity. And so from that perspective, he's definitely underrated. All right. Let's see our 10th artist. Oh boy, here we go. We have Simon Dominic in the building.
Paloma's favorite.
Oh yeah.
Watch what you say.
for sure. Yeah, no, I mean this was no brainer for me. He's underrated. I just from the get go, I loved his tone, his stance, the way he delivers on his rhymes. It's very, very commanding. He has this presence. It's very commanding, but it's very elevated as well. His Busan accent and the way he goes about his songs. It has like this a dagger. Yeah, exactly. It's like a dart. He throws darts at people. You know what I mean? Like his music just hits you. It just goches you. Like just kind of like it sticks to you. And so
Yeah, my grandmother's from Busan, so I definitely know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for his, hopefully a new album, but I feel like he needs a bit more album as well. I think.
That's I think where I can say he's overrated. I know Paloma will really don't. Sorry, Paloma. He's a great rapper. Period.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the best technicians Korean hip hop has ever witnessed.
No doubt.
But he really does not drop albums. And when he does, it's like 6 tracks or 7 tracks.
Mm-hmm.
The only proper like full length album I got was SNL League Presents, and that was not even a solo record. That was a collaboration with producer Optimist. And even Simon D says don't call that his debut album. So technically he still doesn't have a debut album. What the fuck are you doing? You need to have one kind of veteran in the game who's respected as much as he is. He's regarded as one of the best technicians K-pop has ever witnessed. He has multiple chart-topping songs, even as a solo artist by dropping singles or as Supreme Team back in the days. But he doesn't have a first studio album.
Yeah, isn't his first studio album though called Dark Room? Wasn't that his first
Isn't
one?
that an EP? That was like 6 tracks.
What? I think it was more than that.
It was more than that?
Yeah.
Was it 7 or 8? Because it definitely wasn't 10. If I remember correctly.
We're talking about the one with Kim Jong-seo, Demolition Man.
Yeah, Demolition Man.
That I think that's his Jeongyu album. I think that was his LP album, his full length album right there.
That has that has exactly 10 tracks. I thought it was 9 because Mino J Park is blocked on streaming services.
But
hereby I extend my apologies to Simon Dominic. I have for some reason I thought it was like not even 10 tracks.
No worries, it happens.
All right, but my argument still stands.
Okay.
That was one album, right?
Yeah, exactly.
He needs more albums. I mean,
agreed.
Look, I really made the mistake here. But my argument still stands. If you're that much in the game, I think you need more than one album. And his EP after that, 화기염금, was it? No Flames Allowed, right? I like that better than Dark Room a lot.
Okay.
But that's the one with like 6 tracks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he needs some of more like that. He needs a real. I want a confident Simon Dominic producing and having a proper album like that. Like
Mm-hmm.
he needs like certain assertion that he is the fucking boss.
Mm-hmm.
He needs that. Period.
For sure.
Oh man. Still, apologies to saying that Dark Room only had like 6-7 tracks. Somehow I remembered it that way. I extend my apologies. But yes, he's still overrated. Drop an album, Simon Dominic. Please.
For sure. Let's see our 11th artist. Superbee.
He's overrated.
Go for it, man.
He's overrated. He's actually one of my top 3 overrated artists, I think. Dude's basically, all right. I'm gonna tone my language down a bit. He's a good technical rapper. I give him that. But recently he just lost direction. Like he usually had his shtick in the underground was that he wrote really good like punchlines.
Yeah.
Like he was a rapper I could go to and get a lot of lines out of. Now he sacrifices too much just for the sake of the rhyme scheme. It's like Meek Mill and Eminem put together, but you put together their worst sides together.
Oh.
And it's like, I'm getting tired of this shit. Like, buckle up and actually make a album where we actually get to know who you are. We heard a lot of this flexing shit. The last 100 songs he made was all about flexing. And I'm not saying flexing is bad either. Seriously, there are people who do it with with a lot of emotion and stuff like that. But recently he's on autopilot. Dude needs to really sit down and compose a good album. Like he could, he did that kind of shit like back in the underground. But his underground catalog has always been more potent than his studio albums for me.
Yeah.
So I know the flashy shit and the skill like Eminem kind of style sells in a sense.
Yeah.
But it's getting stale. Just the way I'm getting stale on Eminem's music a lot of these days. It's just like fast and there's nothing good about it. Please just sit down, compose an album front to back. And again, as sure you have seen like the updates on Soul Therapy, stop writing stupid lyrics, all right? Stop that shit. Stop writing stupid lyrics. And if your feature artist decide to write stupid lyrics, stop them. Don't do that shit. Clean your shit up and make an actual great album. This is flat out hating, by the way. I'm gonna hate on this shit. He needs some kind of revamp. Please revamp your shit.
Yeah. I'm gonna be on your side as well. I'm gonna say he's definitely overrated. Yeah, he completely lost me. I think I just stopped listening. I've listened to his music before, but it's just the same thing repeating over and over and over again. It's just like you said, it's stale. It's going nowhere. You're gonna have your audiences. You're gonna have your fans, and I get it, but you're better than that.
Yeah.
Like Superbee, you're better than that. You know what I mean? Like he has like huge talent. Like his skills are ridiculously off the charts, and so yeah, it's just to me he just fell off the roof really
don't
bad.
try to be an uneducated kid. You signed him.
Yeah.
You're his boss. Why you're trying to sound like him? Don't do that. He already has that sound on lock. Do your own shit.
Yeah, I really think if he takes his time to craft a well-structured, high-quality album, I really think he'll be back on track. So definitely for me, overrated.
Out of everything we did today, like this is the only one I'll say this was a flat-out haters comment. All right. So yeah.
All right, let's see our 12th artist. We got Verbal Jint in the house. All right, Verbal Jint. I mean, what more can I say about Verbal Jint? Straight up underrated. He shouldn't even be underrated. I mean, the dude is. I mean, we all know who he is.
No VJ, no
K
hip hop. Period.
Exactly. So I mean, we both can agree that this dude shouldn't even be an underrated artist. He's purely just a legend. And so
I mean, if it was like in 2012, back when he was making all commercial joints, maybe I'll say he was overrated. But now he's so underrated to the point where it actually distresses me. There's some people that do know who there's some, especially younger audiences that don't know who VJ is.
Yeah.
Which is incredibly stressful to me because
it is. I agree. Yeah.
I'm saying this once again on this podcast. VJ was the person who provided the blueprint for modern rhyming of how people should rhyme. This was during an age when everyone was saying that you cannot rhyme properly in Korean. And VJ came out the gate saying, "Fuck you to all you motherfuckers. There's no problem in rhyming of the Korean." Like he went against college professors saying that you can't rap in Korean. And he just proved everyone wrong. You would not be rapping to all the artists out there in Korean hip hop. You would not be rapping if it weren't for VJ. And everyone knows this except some very young fans. And they're all like, he's an old head. You wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that old head. So shut up. VJ is always underrated, and he should, especially with him, I think, making the most mature and detailed music in his career right now.
Exactly.
He's underrated. He needs to be bigger. All right? Bigger.
I agree. All right, let's see our 13th artist. Giriboy. You got Giriboy in the house. All right. I hate to say this. I also think he's overrated. In terms of just his pure rap skills, but I think as a producer, he's a genius. I think he's put out a lot of heat. And just in terms of he's a genius. I mean, that's all I can say. But in terms of just his, rap skills it's solid. I mean, there's really nothing against Special. I think it's just very subtle. Sometimes it can be very underwhelming with his, but I like the way he goes ins and out. He's creative. He does rap, he does singing, and I just love the balance. But I think in terms of just his pure overall artistry, I think he's still overrated. No hating. I think Giriboy's good.
His album is coming out actually. I'll have to, for a proper analysis, I will have to see where he's going with that, because my verdict on Giriboy has been a roller coaster.
Yeah, for sure.
When he's great, he's fucking great. If his album sucks, his album fucking sucks. And I think that's because, in a sense, like Giriboy paved the way for being emotional on a hip hop song. Like before that, it wasn't that much of a case. Like he's in lyrical terms, he's our Drake when it just comes to the lyrics and everything.
Yeah.
Without there's a album called 성인식 with a pink cover, and without that album, so much shit would have been different. But he paved the way for a lot of things. But like his Korean ballad album and stuff like that wasn't for me. And granted, it wasn't musically terrible or anything. It was just like, why are you doing this? You're not that great of a singer anyway. So it's like, if I actually like him better when he's doing hip hop shit. When he's doing not exactly the hardcore stuff, but when he's rapping, I really like it. So I'll say overrated, but that might change in like 2 weeks after I hear that another album that he's dropping. So yeah.
Oh, you're gonna be happy with this one. SENS is in building.
Underrated. He can't be overrated.
Exactly. I mean, we both agree. We both agree. I think. Yeah, just a legend. That's all I'll say.
Being the number one SENS fan,
of course.
Let me say this first. He's our Nas.
Yeah.
And the anecdote is our Illmatic.
Agreed. Yeah.
That album came so close to kind of encapsulating not just Korean hip hop, but what Korean society really is like for the average person in Korea. So in a sense, that was one of the albums that really succeeded in showing that Korean hip hop was about Korean life, period.
Yep.
So in that sense, and there's a reason why the anecdote is regarded so highly. That is the standard for what a classic should be.
Yeah, will always be a classic.
Even before that, like his mixtape catalogs, his follow-up album Stranger after the anecdote, like he holds a special place in the culture. Like he is the culmination of what Korean hip hop is.
Yeah, we both agree that SENS is a legend and that he's not underrated, but he's SENS. So yeah, as we begin to slowly wrap up our show, as usual, any artist or tracks that you're currently listening to and would like to share or recommend to our listeners. For me, I will go with Mild Beats And the song is called Overcome, and it features Palo Alto, and it was off of Mild Beats' album called Beautiful Struggle. And look, when we talk about producers, I think we must never forget Mild Beats. Like this man is like
a seminal producer.
Yeah, he's not just a pioneer, but he's like one of the architectures in the Korean hip hop beat
He's
makers.
Like our Pete Rock or something.
Yeah, dude, he's criminally underrated. Just criminally underappreciated. Just it hurts to see that he doesn't get the spotlight and the shine that he deserves.
Exactly.
You got to go listen to. You got to go listen to his albums. I mean, that's all I'll say. And this song is definitely conscious hip hop, of course, Palo Alto with a strong lyricism. So yeah, go check out Mild Beats Overcome featuring Palo Alto.
I'll go with a relatively unknown crew called OSA.
For sure. Osamari.
Yeah, Osamari. And they came back after like a 6-year hiatus, I think. Granted, their individual members was always on Show Me the Money and stuff like that, and they dropped their own albums. You'll be familiar with Kuala or Slick Odomar kind of people. And in that sense, this album really was a sequel to their original compilation album. And it was called Family Business, and this album is called Family Pictures. And in that sense, since that album was such a great album, like fans were kind of like, I'm not sure how this is gonna be. The hiatus was really long and stuff like that. So, but it turned out great. It's a fucking amazing album. They're all rapping great. The production is fresh. It's kind of jazz oriented, but not to the point where it outright feels like a jazz album. It's a bit more alternative. And listen to the album if you can. But since we're talking songs here, there's a song called "Rolling Stones."
Okay.
It even has a music video to it. So, and it's a great and the video is good too. So definitely check it out. OSA Family Pictures. Rolling Stone.
For sure. Well, that's all the time we have for today, but please do comment and let us know which artist you think is overrated or underrated. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please go and subscribe to our podcast on all platforms, and please give us that 5-star rating. If you want more K-hip hop contents, go check out Daytona's Instagram at myk_Daytona for K-hip hop album reviews, and also follow our social media page at Seoul_Therapy. Thank you guys so much, and see you guys next time. Peace.